Hello, Kurt Jackson here. As a retirement income strategist with KJ Financial in Liberty, Missouri, I believe I've cracked the code for those of you ages 44 to 48 to successfully save for retirement. I'm glad you're here so you can tell me if I'm onto something here or maybe if I'm off my rocker. Hopefully you can tell me which way I'm going with this. We've been told our entire lives if our employer offers us a 401k, 403b, 457 plan, if there's an employer match, we need to put in at least enough to get their match, right? Because that's free money, and then put in more if you can afford to, and keep put in as much as you possibly can. Have we all been told that over and over again? Now, see, the root of this plan is to put in dollars before they've been taxed, right, into the market where the market is always up over time, where that growth will be tax deferred, and then in retirement you'll be in a lower tax bracket when it comes time to pay the tax bill. All of this is really great in theory, all right? It all makes perfect sense in theory. But do we know that all of those things are going to happen? What happens if just one of those things doesn't happen that way? What happens if multiple things don't happen that way? What happens if during your definition of over time, the market isn't up 7, 8, 10, or the magical easy 12% average returns that Dave Ramsey talks about? I have no idea where those come from. What happens if the tax rates aren't lower? What if the employer match gets smaller or goes away altogether like we saw after the market crash 2007 to 2009? Aren't all those questions that require answers? Aren't we depending a lot on unknowns for what is one of the most important aspects of our life, our retirement? What we're going to do today is compare the traditional 401k, 403b, 457 plan to the plan that I believe cracks the code for retirement. I'm going to reveal the aspects of each plan as we go through today. The one thing I'm going to say about the plan that I like is a tax-free plan, not a tax-deferred plan. Now, since this is directed towards those of you that are age 44 to 48, I'm going to use a 45-year-old male that's in good health for my comparison. So in this hypothetical example, we're going to assume he could put away $15,000 a year. He's older, okay? He should be able to afford to put in more. Might be higher, might be lower. That's what our assumption is, okay? So he's going to put in 15 grand a year. We're going to assume the employer does a generous 15% or 50% match of 7,500, so he's got 22,500 per year going in. Okay. We're going to assume the current tax rate's 20%. We'll assume the same tax rate in retirement. We've assumed a 7% rate of return and a 1% fee in investments inside this 401k. Now remember, keep this in mind. When I say 401k, I'm using it as a generic term. It covers 403b and a 457 plan too, okay? It's just easier that way. We're going to assume that he's going to contribute that money through age 69 and then begin taking $48,874 a year in net income at the age of 70. And that $48,874 net figure comes from the calculations that we ran on our tax-free plan, and that's what the annual income was. So essentially, this is the fairy tale that Wall Street, the government, the media want you to believe will happen if you follow traditional retirement planning advice. At first glance, you know what? It looks like the fairy tale plan will let you live happily ever after to age 116. So why am I doing this? Well, you stick around and you'll see, okay? Let's bring in our tax-free plan and see how it compares. Notice that we're funding the tax-free plan with only $12,000. And that's the after-tax equivalent to the $15,000 that we're assuming he's putting into his 401k, because remember, we're not getting an employer match. So the 401k has almost 90% more money going in. We're also assuming the 7% return and the actual costs are figured into the calculations. Did you notice that the tax-free plan runs out at age 110? Not too shabby, huh? But it does look like we got beat. Why are you doing this thing? Well, remember, I said the 401k was a fairy tale that Wall Street, the government, the media want you to believe, right? Well, I'm going to share with you what happens when things that typically happen in the real world happen and what they do to this fairy tale. When you're planning for your retirement, would you rather base your plan, okay, on a best case scenario and have it be worse than what your estimates were, or on a worst case scenario and have things be better than what your estimates were? From 2000 to 2013, the market was pretty bad. We had a market crash of more than 40% or more and another one of 59% or more. Okay. Well, this graph on the screen shows us with $100,000 in the year 2000 and how it would have grown in the market, okay, through 2013. The red line is the S&P 500. The 100 grand, it shows on the S&P 500, it shows 100 grand growing to 125,653, which according to the returns for those years would have been an average return of 3.54, but an actual return of only 1.77. I'm not going to go into this trick that the Wall Street media pull on us right now. If you'd like to know more about it, just give me a shout. I've seen studies by research firm Dalbar that shows 20-year actual returns by average investors, okay? And for the 20-year periods that ended in 2006, the 20-year period in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, right? There were only 2 of them that were actually above 4%. Most were in the 3s, okay? And in 2008, it was like 1.87, if I remember correctly. All right, so I want to be fair, all right? But I don't want to overestimate. That'd be the worst thing to do, right? So we're going to use a real-world return on the 401k. We're going to assume an actual return of 4%. Now you see the green line, right? Now that would have been from a hypothetical tax-free plan that we're talking about. The 100 grand would have grown to 241,498 and enjoying a 7.92% average return, but a 7.02% actual return. Right? It's almost twice as much money, isn't it? That's interesting. Well, we didn't want to unfairly pump up the tax-free, so we're going to use that 7%. We'll just keep using that 7%. Since our actual return during this rough time in the market was 7.02, we'll just use 7 and call it even. Okay. Now, when you look at this, what's the first thing that jumps off the page to you? Do you notice that when we change the return on the 401k from 7% to 4%, the age the money runs out drops from age 116 to age 86. Yet for the tax-free plan, it stays at 110. Right? So just removing one aspect, after removing one aspect of the 401k fairy tale, and we adjusted it to what's happening in the real world, right? Your age of running out of money drops from 116 to age 86. Well, would you prefer to base your retirement on pie in the sky numbers that only happen in the best of times, or would you prefer to have one that certainly appears to deliver the goods even when the market's not doing well? Right? If you're in a 401k, it only gets worse. Remember, the fees we used in our initial scenario were just 1% because we're always told how low the fees are in our 401k, right? Well, Forbes magazine and mutual fund research firm Morningstar did a study, and they found that the fees inside 401ks, inside mutual funds, 3.17 to 4.17. Does that sound low to you? So, in order to be fair, I could have used the higher average, but I went less than average, right? Because I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the 401k. So if the fees were just 2.5%, what would that do to the 401k? Right? Well, it knocks the age to run out of money down to age 80. So since we'd already had the fees factored into the tax-free plan, our age is still 110. So two 401k fairy tale elements addressed with what happens in the real world, and we're down to age 80 while the tax-free plan stays at age 110. Which would you choose now? Oh, wait. Gets worse. Okay, remember, we're not so certain that our tax rates will be lower. I can tell you this. If you have the type of income that the traditional retirement planning is telling you to have, you better expect to be in a higher tax bracket because you're going to be paying taxes on some of your Social Security income. Wouldn't that be paying tax on a tax that you spent your entire working life? Were you expecting that? Look, I'm not going to go to that right now, but if you'd like to know how to get your Social Security income tax-free, let me know. Okay? Just give me a shout and I'll help you with that. If we raise a retirement tax rate from 20 to 30, it knocks off another year to age 79. Have you had enough yet? Because there's another one. It only gets worse. Since the employer match isn't guaranteed, should we be counting on it for retirement, or should we pull it out to see where we'd be without it? Okay? If we pull that out, we run out of money at age 75. Now, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. What age did we say he was going to retire? Age 70, right? So you're telling me there's a real chance, or would it be safer to say a high degree of probability that he could save $15,000 per year for 24 years and run out of money in just 5 years into retirement? Is that what you want from your retirement plan? Let's look at the tax-free plan. We're still at age 110. And why don't we just take a snapshot of how things would look maybe at age 85, right, and see what advantages the tax-free plan would have over the 401k, or what the 401k would have over the tax-free plan. Right. The 401k no longer has any deferred taxes remaining, right? Taxes paid, looks like the 401k paid roughly $141,000, while the tax-free plan tax-free plan paid 75. The 401k gave him just 328,873 in cumulative income because he ran out of money at age 75. Hold the fort there. Didn't he put in $15,000 a year for 24 years? Isn't that $360,000 of his money when you do the math? So if I'm reading this right, he didn't even get that much back in the form of retirement income. Wow, that's some fairy tale they got going on, isn't it? Tax-free plan has given him $781,000, almost $782 in cumulative retirement income at age 85, and there's still another 25 years in the tank. Lastly, the tax-free plan has a death benefit at age 85 of $1.43 million, $1.043 million. So if he died, then his heirs would get that. No. So when we do the math, if he died at the age 85, the total benefit of the tax-free plan is 1.47. Okay? I forgot the fees. The fees were higher for the tax-free plan, but obviously you still had income. Whereas with the 401k plan didn't. I'm sure you'd be happy to pay fees to continue to have income in retirement than to not pay fees and not have income. All right. So now, after you've seen all this, which plan would you prefer for retirement? Did I run crazy projections to make the tax-free plan look better? Didn't I reduce him for the tax-free plan and actually give the benefit of the doubt to the 401k almost every step of the way? Right. So you can see where the 401k fairy tale story comes from. It's based on an ideal situation. Do you think that ideal situation is real? Okay. Do you think you'll experience that ideal situation while you're building retirement and in retirement? Would you be comfortable basing your retirement on that ideal situation? Would it be smarter and safer to look for a plan that will perform well in good times and bad? Remember, the fairy tale gives you 401k money gives you that money with almost 90% more money. Are you 100% sure that that's the case for you? Right? The 401k fairy tale gave the rate of return a lot higher than what people are actually experiencing in life. Are you 100% certain you'll experience higher returns than almost everyone is getting? Okay? The 401k fairy tale assumed a mythical low fee of 1%, but in real life those fees are much higher. Are you 100% certain you'll experience those low fees? Do you even really know how much you're paying in fees? The 401k fairy tale assumed lower taxes in retirement. Are you ready to base your retirement on that assumption? You haven't even seen how you'd be paying taxes on some of your Social Security benefits yet, so be careful on that if you're making that assumption. The 401k fairy tale also assumed a big employer contribution. Are you 100% certain you'll get that employer contribution your entire working life? Are you 100% certain it will be that high? The bottom line was when we removed just one of these 401k fairy tale factors, it didn't hold a candle to the tax-free plan that withstood every one of the 401k fairy tale factors being removed. Heck, when I put in some real-world scenarios, the 401k couldn't even pay him back as much money as he put in. Okay? You wonder where all that money went? How about taxes and fees? Who's getting the money from those? Yeah, the government, Wall Street, your broker, your advisor. Who's all telling you to do this? Have you ever thought about that before? Well, what do you think? You think I'm making this up? I hope you realize I work in a highly regulated industry. What if I'm saying is real? Okay? If what I was saying is not real, they'd come in and shut me down. But what if you could have this type of financial vehicle driving you to retirement and through retirement? Since I'm trying to keep this video at a reasonable length, probably not very successfully, I've left off some amazing benefits. I'd be happy to share with you. You just got to give me a shout. But isn't it time right now for you and me to sit down and find out how this would work for you, how this would likely work for you? I know everyone that's telling you things, selling you things, telling you to act now. And that's what I'm going to tell you to do. But think about it this way. If we're dependent on the power of compounding interest to build wealth, wouldn't it make sense to get started earlier so there's more time for it to grow? Or would it make sense to wait so there's less time to grow? You're never going to have more time to grow your money than you would today. That's my end of my so-called push. Hey, if you want to find out more about this, my contact information is on the screen. If you know people, if you found value in this, I'm sure you know people in this age range, please forward them the link. I'd be happy to share that with them. If you know someone younger or older, I've got videos for those ages too. Just let me know how old those are. I'll send you the links for those or have them email me. Be happy to do that. Hey, even if we don't talk, I truly do hope you have a successful retirement. Okay. I know you have a better chance of having one if we do talk. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a shameless plug on my part. So thanks again for joining us. I hope you have a great, successful retirement. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us today. I hope you found value. If you did, share with your friends. And hope we talk soon. If not, have a great day.